Yeah. What's happening, fam? How we feeling? How we doing? How we looking? Say what's up if you're in the trap. I'm solo dolo. I'm solo dolo for the next couple weeks. Zach is on holiday. He's leaving Australia, doing his own thing. But once again, say what's up here in the chat. Here we're doing a live Q&A, and at the end of this live stream, we're going to be grading a Dynasty team from one of our supporters here. Okay, but you have me for. I'm going to put a timer on this Q&A, and if it's going pretty well, with these Q&As, and I can potentially extend it a little bit longer, but I'm going to put a timer on this to where I'm going to put 30 minutes on the clock. I'm going to go straight into all these Q&As. I'm going to do quick fire. Once again, if you do want to get your answers prioritized straight away, I am going to be going in order. All you have to do is drop a super chat and I will answer those questions straight away. What I'll do is actually put a timer on the screen here. Let me get that set up here. I was going to do it on my timer that I have, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently here. Let's switch it up a little bit here. What do you think, huh? Should we do those timers? You might have seen this here. Like my background there. I'm trying to find this. Clock here that I had. Trying to find this clock. If not, I guess I'm gonna have to do it and add it again. So give me 2 seconds as I add this timer. And then I'm gonna do it for, once again, I'm gonna do it for 30 minutes. So you guys can see timer countdown. But once again, say what's up if you're in the chat here. Okay, time. Okay, this is not working. What we're gonna do, we're gonna put on this. I got this thing here, right? Let's do 30 minutes starting right now. I'll let you know when there's a 15-minute timer or 15 minutes in center. All right, that's going here. Starting from the top, once again, if you want your questions answered straight away, just drop a super chat and we'll definitely prioritize that as soon as possible. But starting at the top here, from what I can see on my screen here, the first question is from Jimmy. Just want to make sure that's popping up on the screen here. Jimmy says, I have the 106 in a rookie draft trying to get a doomsday. If he doesn't fall to me, should I take May? My quarterbacks are Dak, Richardson, Love, and Rodgers. SuperFlex league. Yeah, Jimmy, we always say take best player available, man. Best player available is the best way to go. And if you feel pretty comfortable with your quarterbacks, trade back. If you don't want to take Drake May, trade back. Maybe see if you can get the 111 and maybe some capital. You know, it's all about getting as much capital as you possibly can to do, you know, much capital as you possibly can if you do want to trade back here. Chase, Josh Jacobs, and QJ for Lab McConkey and a small fry. Hey, Chase, I appreciate you, man. I told you it all depends on what's gonna happen. But I'd rather keep Lab McConkey right now. As much as I love QJ, I would rather hold that. Tommy, your boy Briggs Balky with a super chat. We appreciate you, man. It's a 10-team PPR SuperFlex, May or JJ for a win now team. Look, you have to. First of all, we appreciate you, Tommy. Miss you. Come back. And what you should definitely do is play some Call of Duty with us. When it comes down to a win now team and a quarterback with a rookie quarterback like May or JJ, the expectation is that both of these guys are going to struggle their rookie year. I would say in the win now perspective, it's probably JJ McCarthy because of the people around him, right? You have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, right? This defense gets better. And when it comes down to Drake May, you're hoping that he is going to take the next level in the NFL with the limited pieces he has. I like what they've done around him with Polk and Javon Baker, But for me, in a win now scenario, I'll be going JJ McCarthy. Now, if you're talking to me based off talent, I would always be taking Drake May over JJ McCarthy. So it really just depends on how you really want to view that. But, you know, for me, Drake May is the number one guy. Sorry, it's the guy ahead of JJ McCarthy, not the number one, when I am looking at a Superflex draft, especially in a win now perspective. But appreciate the super chat there, Tommy. Once again, if you guys want your questions answered right away, all you have to do is drop a super chat. But if not, I will be going in order. So Alex here, upcoming one quarterback rookie draft. I have the 103, 4, 6, and 7. Would you go Rome Brooks just to ensure you grab a running back and push down 2 of them to the top 3 remaining wide receivers? Look, we're never going to reach in a quarterback, and on a running back, excuse me. And for us personally, we would always say if you want to get a running back, we're not going to reach and trade back for them, right? So you're saying at the 103, you're going to be getting Rome Odunze, and you're going to take Jonathan Brooks at the 104, where in reality, in a one quarterback value, he's probably valued at the 106, 107. You have those picks. Find out what the 105 is going to be doing as much as you can. And if the 105 is going to be getting a running back and taking Jonathan Brooks, then you have the opportunity to get a Trey Benson at the 106 and the 107 where his value is still correct. So we wouldn't be reaching, and then you make him make the decision for you, Jonathan Brooks or Trey Benson. We both believe that both of those guys are going to be successful. So try not to push that narrative too much. Brizzleton, why do I make bad trades when I'm bored at work? That's why you trade hungry. That's why. Crime Lord, hey fellas. He says just traded Bijan and Jamo for Monra in a full PPR league. Still have Gibbs and Walker at running back, and only London, Higgins, Pittman at wide receiver. So seeing like a good move. Yeah, I'm okay with this move. I think Monra and Bijan is a pretty even move here, especially with Jameson Williams being still in the loop, like in this middle ground of not necessarily understanding where he's going to be doing or what he's going to be doing. So I would say that is a perfect opportunity for you to pivot with the running backs that you have. So I think that's a great move. What's happening, Brizzleton? He said, Dragon said, what's up, Adaki, Barkley, or Etienne? Well, it's interesting. We do have a running back video coming out soon, and we kind of spoke about Barkley and Etienne. I think both of these guys are phenomenal here. I feel more confident in Barkley. So I would say if you're in a win now team, both of these guys are valuable, but I would say both of these guys are actually back to back in my rankings. They're my RB. Let's see where these guys are at in my rankings. Look, I would just say this to kind of sum it up. Both of these guys are back to back in my rankings. They're my RB7 and RB8. So I feel pretty confident in either one of these guys. I feel like Barkley has a higher upside, especially with this offensive line, especially with how this is a high-powered offense. So I would lean Saquon Barkley, Ladd and Pearsall, or Ayuk. That's a great question, Julian. I think this is an even trade, but look, at the moment in a win-now scenario, Ayuk feels like the guy that you would want. I would say if you're playing the long haul, Ladd McConkey and or Ricky Pearsall could easily be producing the same amount of production that Ayuk was putting out in the last couple years here. So I would say this is an even trade just based off of our projections of Ladd McConkey and Ricky Pearsall once Ayuk and or Deebo Samuel is out for Ricky. But Brandon Ayuk, I mean, phenomenal, 15.6 fantasy points per game this past year. It may not be this year that Ladd McConkey and or Ricky can do that, but maybe in a year, in 2025, that can be the window for them to do that there. So I would say it's an even trade. I will personally be leading Ayuk just based off what I know is a proven production, though. We did get a super chat from Adam. Once again, all your super chats will be answered right away. Appreciate the super chat, Adam. Thank you so much, man. He says, I have the 4, 5, I'm assuming the 104, the 105, 107. Need a wide receiver and the quarterback. Should I take and Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze and let the 6 make my choice at quarterback? Yeah, so I'm assuming this is a SuperFlex league. So for me, I would be taking Malik Neighbors at the 104 there, Adam. And then what I will be doing, why is this not showing up here or on the screen for you guys? Okay, yeah, it is. Just want to make sure that's showing up on the screen so people know. So I'll be taking Malik Neighbors at the 104, and then at the 105 in my rankings, it's Drake May and or JJ McCarthy. So I'm actually really happy with them to make the decision for me. But unless you really want a wide receiver, how many, I guess the bigger question is how many starting wide receivers? If you're telling me this is a star, you know, two wide, if it's not two, but star four, up to four wide receivers, maybe two wide receivers and two flex starts, I'm still okay not to force that trade because I'm still going to be taking best player available and then trading back at the 107 from the 107 to see if I can get a Brian Thomas Jr., to see if I can get a Xavier Worthy, a Lam McConkey there. But I think there's a lot of context there that we're missing. And if this is if the 10-man league, I'm happy to take Rome Odunze, a 10-man Superflex. I'm happy to take Odunze at the 5 and then let them make a decision at quarterback for me. So it just really depends on how you would do that and what all that context is there for you, Adam. So hopefully that's helpful. We appreciate that super chat, man. Back to the top here. Once again, going in order. If you want to skip the line, all you have to do is drop a super chat. Colin, he said traded Lamb and Ferguson for Marvin. The 25 first, a 26 third. What do you think? I would say this is CeeDee Lamb's price, and I would take the CeeDee Lamb side. Marvin at 25 first is valued for, I would say, CeeDee Lamb, depending on how you view CeeDee Lamb. I mean, a lot of people have CeeDee Lamb as a wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. That 26 third means absolutely nothing to me. So essentially you traded a Marvin and a 25 first for CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson, who could potentially easily be a top 15 tight end, top 12 tight end finish this year. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb in the proven prospect, the proven fantasy points on a per game basis, who once again finishes wide receiver 1, 23.7 fantasy points. We're hoping Marvin Harrison Jr. can do that. We believe Marvin Harrison Jr. can do that, but I'll take CeeDee Lamb every single day. We got another super chat here from Tyler. Thank you so much, man. He said, Dynasty, startup Superflex, pick 12. Traded my 25 first and a 25 second. Okay, so let's read that. So it's a Dynasty startup. You pick at the 112. You traded your 25 first and second, plus the 3-1 for the 101 and got Allen. Kept the 112 and the 2-1 and got Burrow. Got Burrow and then Marvin at the 313, the 113. I'm assuming the 20. What's that? The 20. A 202. Thoughts on this trade? Look, I'm okay with this trade because you got Josh Allen and you kept your 112 and you got Burrow as well. I would say this, if those guys didn't fall to you in that way, I would say this is probably a terrible trade. If you're telling me that would have been, I don't know, maybe if you would have gotten, I doubt you would have taken Golf or you would have taken another wide receiver there. I'm really happy with this trade because of the value that you got. Joe Burrow at the 112 in the Dynasty startup, I think is absolutely criminal. I think he should easily be a top 8 startup pick. So getting what I believe in Josh Allen, obviously, is a QB1, and Joe Burrow is a top 8 quarterback, and still getting Marvin Harrison Jr., you do give up your 25 first and second, so you're not going to have the draft capital next year. But I think this is a good trade in my eyes. So great job there, Tyler. Back to the top here. It says, hey, Badaki, answer one of my questions regarding this in the Discord, but I got another one. Offer, give Waddle, get Bowers. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember, man. Honestly, we answered so many questions. I did say I did like it, but it didn't come back. It wasn't. The person said that he didn't want to do it anymore, right? Because he wanted a 25 second on top of Jalen Waddle. So you're saying Waddle and Bowers are straight up. If it's not a tight end premium, if it's not a tight end premium, I think this is an even trade, but it just depends on your build, right? It depends on who you have at the tight end position currently. It depends on what your wide receiver room looks like. I think there's a lot of factors there, and send me that team. Send me the screenshot of your team on the Discord, just so we can have a little bit more context there, and we can definitely look at that later. But guys, if you want to get what Jay is talking about, all you have to do is sign up at flockfantasy.com. Select the Mother Flocker tier to unlock all those perks when it does come down to getting the fantasy hotline, getting your Dynasty team review like we're going to do at the end of this video or this live stream, and so much more. So definitely check that out. So we appreciate you. All right, next one here is Charlie. Says, have Tua and Fields in a one quarterback. Have the 102 and the 107 as well as 207 and the 210. We're taking QB Jaden Daniels at the 107. I think Caleb going at the 105. For me personally, I think Tua is a great quarterback to keep, and not necessarily get a Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. I understand he hasn't gotten that contract extension as of yet, but he's playing with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, right? He has Devon Chain in his backfield, and this past year finished as a top 10 quarterback, right? QB 9, 16.7 fantasy points on a per game basis. Yes, you can get one of those guys that has a higher ceiling, but I don't think there's somebody that you need to go out and try and get. I would still be going with best player available when it comes down to maybe at the wide receiver position, the running back position. At the 107, that's Jonathan Brooks. That's Trey Benson. We've seen Xavier Worthies, the Brian Thomas Jr.'s. This is one quarterback, so a little bit lower. So Lam McConkey's, right? The Ricky Pearsall's, the Brock Bowers. I will be looking at one of those guys rather than the quarterback. But I don't think it's a wrong move going Jaden Daniels either. I just have a lot of confidence in Tua as well. Jonathan Taylor for Jonathan Brooks and Zeke. I will take Jonathan Taylor still. I'd rather have JT. That Beamer though, I know, right? I love it. Chase, I know we generally try to avoid trying to trade future first. But if you had a chance to grab, say, the 107 for a 25 first and a small piece as a contender, would you do it? Well, it really just depends on if you're a contender. If you're a contender and trying to get Rome Odunze, hypothetically, so wait, hold on. But if you have a chance to grab, say, the one, so yeah, if you're saying the 107 specifically, I'm not saying Rome Odunze is not going to help you as a contender, but you have to lower your expectations, right? I mean, a lot of people are putting this stamp on Rome Odunze having a JSN sort of first year, rookie year. And if that is the case, are you really going to be spending sending that 25 first for Rome Odunze, who is not going to be leading you to a championship? Can you get that 25 first and send that for a more proven asset, right? Can you get a Chris Olave? Can you get a Jalen Waddle, a Brandon Ayuk, a Michael Pittman, a Nico Collins, to try to help you in a win now scenario now? I'm not saying I would rather have Rome Odunze over those guys, but maybe you need to pivot and you can send a 25 first and get maybe a little bit more in return still, or maybe you send something else. Can you send a 25 first and a third to get an Olave? Can you send a 25 first and a second to get an AJ Brown instead of getting a Rome Odunze, who's not going to help you right now? Now, we could be wrong, but that's just our expectations, especially with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore being there, and also ultimately being behind or getting the ball thrown to him by a rookie quarterback. We have to take off that expectation that Caleb Williams is going to have a CJ Stroud type of year. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as you are thinking about that. It says, what do you think about this true backup? Appreciate you, Tommy. He said, what do you think about this true backup to Jonathan Taylor this year? Hall, Sermon, or do they sign someone like Kareem Hunt? Look, one of those guys is definitely going to be in play, right? Who is that going to be? Let's pull it up here. If I would imagine somebody being the backup, it'll probably be Evan Hall. Trey Sermon just couldn't stay healthy. I feel like Evan Hall has a little bit more of a burst than what we saw from Trey Sermon in the past. And they might go pick up somebody, right? They might go pick a Kareem Hunt. They might go pick up somebody that gets dropped during the offseason in the running back position Do they get an undrafted free agent to come in and sign up? You know, do they get somebody else off the street that we're not expecting? Do they trade for somebody in the off season? And it can be somebody that's not necessarily exciting. Like, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but what if they go out and trade a 6th round or 7th round pick for Clyde Edwards-Helaire? What if they go out and trade for, you know, name a lower tier running back that's no longer fantasy relevant, just to have depth of experience in that backfield, right? You think of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think of a Joshua Kelly, I think of a Michael Carter. You can even, you know, think about like a Cam Akers, right? A Matt Breida. It's not going to be anyone sexy, but just something to keep in mind. But I don't have too much expectations for either of those guys. Adam says more context. Thank you for the super chat, Adam. Once again, guys, if you want your questions, I always say your answered question, your questions answered right away, all you have to do is drop a super chat and you can skip that line here. Adam, say more context, 12 Dynasty SuperFlex 3 wide receivers. I have the 4, 5, 7, 11, the 201. Thinking once again, Neighbors, Roma Dunze, then let pick 6 take my quarterbacks. Also going to get Nix or Penix with my 111 or 112. Right, okay, so going back to this one, it's a start SuperFlex 3 wide receivers. And who are your wide receivers? You don't have to donate again, but who are you? Just put in the chat really quick, like, who are your wide receivers? Because if you're telling me you have, let's just say you have an AJ Brown and maybe a Tank Dell, and you're gonna get a Malik Neighbors here, I don't think you necessarily go out and have to, you know, you don't have to go out and reach a little bit for Roma Dunze. It's a rebuild. So if it's a rebuild, there's no point of reaching. There's no point of reaching, Adam. There's no point of going and trying to get Malik Neighbors and then Roma Dunze at the 105 unless you just really don't love these quarterbacks. Or, look, I get what you're saying. You want to secure Roma Dunze and let the quarterbacks fall to you. I'm really happy for that as well. I'm just saying, figure out what the 106 is going to do. And if he is going to take a quarterback over Roma Dunze, then you make this. I personally will always take Drake May. That's what I would say. I think this is why I'm a little bit hesitant on doing this, because I will take Malik Neighbors every single day and easily take Drake May. But if you're not confident in either one of those quarterbacks or in Drake May, and you'd rather have him make the decision for you, go ahead, do what you're saying is taking Malik Neighbors and Roma Dunze there with 3 wide receivers start. So I'm really okay with that trade there, and also getting Penix or Nix with my 111 or the 201. I think getting Bo Nix at the 201 or at the 11 and Penix at the 201 are phenomenal values as well. Thank you for that super chat, man. Really appreciate you. Next question is CS. What becomes of Rashee Rice? Honestly, man, I think we all have to lower our expectations coming into this year. He will. I would say this: our expectation for Rashee Rice has changed based off his fantasy outputs. He will not have the same fantasy output this year, but I think he can easily bounce back in 2025. I don't think he's a dead asset. I don't think his fantasy football career or his career in general is over this year in fantasy football. If he does is suspended for 6 games, if he is suspended for 8 games, he's not saying irrelevant in fantasy, but not somebody that you're not wanting to have on your team early in the season in a redraft perspective. But a dynasty perspective, if you can send a 3rd for Rashee Rice somehow, or a late 2nd in 25 for Rashee Rice, we will do that because we believe he's going to have a massive bounce back in 2025. So that's kind of the Twitter version of that. D says, I traded Addison Kenneth Walker in the 106 for Chase in a 10-man league. Good deal or a bit too much? Is this a super flex league or 1 quarterback league? I would say this: if this is a super flex league, I think I would do this in a super flex or 1 quarterback league. This is Chase's value, right? That's the type of trade I personally would be doing for a Chase. So yeah, I would say this is good for Chase in a super flex or in one quarterback league. JJ said thoughts on Jalen Daniels being an absolute nasty this year. It's possible because of the mobility. 1,000% possible, and I think that's what's exciting about Jalen Daniels. He is going to have the opportunity to be successful because of this setup in this offense with Cliff Kingsbury, with Terry McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, Jahan Dotson. They get Ben Sinnott as well. They got great weapons around him. Now, the offensive line is not the strongest. That was a big problem last year. I do believe they go out and make a couple offseason acquirements for that offensive line, but the mobility is there. So in fantasy, regardless, he's going to be, we feel, pretty decent in for fantasy purposes. Unlimited here says, what would be a fair trade down from the 106 or 107, the 112, 106 to the 107, the 112 to 203 and the 204? Oh, from the 106 or the 107, because you do have, hypothetically, you have either of them. Yeah, I'm okay with that trade. Moving down to the 112 and getting 2 mid-seconds in this draft, I think is pretty fair. You know, that 112 can be an Xavier Worthy, a Lam McConkey, Jonathan Brooks, a Brock Bowers we've seen at the 112, and then also getting the 203, where it can be Benson, Michael Penix, Ricky Pearsall, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette. So I'm really happy with that trade because of the depth of this class. You can easily get 2 first-round talents or 1 first-round talent. What's crazy at the 204, where the second-round talent is going at the 112 in Lam McConkey or Lam McConkey at the 112 there. So I feel pretty confident in that trade if you are okay with that. And I would say I would prefer doing that for the 107, but not for the 106. 106, I would want. Maybe I'm being a little bit greedy here, unlimited, but I would probably want like the 109 and then maybe the 203. Once again, maybe I'm just being greedy there. We did get another super chat from Paul here. Thank you so much for the super chat, guys. If you want to skip the line, as I am going in order, all you have to do is drop a super chat here. Pivots for AJ Brown or Devonta Smith, 12-team SuperFlex contender. Well, AJ Brown, I definitely still want to stay in that same category when it comes down to the wide receiver, obviously, position. I think of Garrett Wilson. I think of Malik Neighbors. I think of the Drake Londons. The Puka Nakuas is out there. I think you might have to give up a little bit, just a little bit, maybe AJ Brown in a second or a third to get a Puka Nakua. I would even say the same thing for Marvin Harrison Jr. You have to give AJ Brown and maybe a little bit more because his price and expectation going into this year. And when it comes down to Devonta Smith, man, there's a lot of people I'm willing to pivot to off of Devonta Smith. Currently in the community, if I can find him. Devonta Smith, wide receiver 16. I would pivot to Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Nico Collins, DJ Moore I would rather have. So there's a lot of names there, Paul, that I would personally be pivoting off of. I'm assuming you have both of these guys or trying to pivot off of one of these guys. I would keep AJ Brown, hypothetically, if you did have these guys, both of these guys on your team. I'm keeping AJ Brown and pivoting off of Devonta Smith. He's stuck as the wide receiver too, which is fine because he gets his contract extension here. But a very volatile player, up and down all off season. And I think I would want to get somebody that I feel a little bit more confident with, like a Brandon Ayuk, a Nico Collins, who I feel confident in, a DJ Moore, who I feel really confident in as well. So thank you so much for that super chat, Paul. We have 3 minutes left on this timer until I am done answering all these questions. So if you want to drop a super chat, do it now. If not, once this timer goes off, I'll keep it close to the mic. Once that beeping goes off, I will start to grade the Dynasty teams unless I get super chats. But no pressure. Keep that in mind. Next question back up top is Alec. 10-team SuperFlex start 9. Have Kyler, Gibbs, Barkley, Puka, Chase, Laporta, Addison. Have the 101. Take Caleb or Marvin Harrison Jr. SuperFlex League, we always take the quarterback. No matter, even if you have really good quarterbacks, you have Kyler here. You didn't really say who was your second quarterback in a SuperFlex. You just said have Kyler Gibbs. So I'm taking Caleb Williams here, regardless. What's happening, Nick? Appreciate both of your dedication. Appreciate you. In a 10-team Start 11 half PPR Superflex. I just got Tyreek Hill, a 25 third for the 201, which is a 111, right? In a 10-man league. A 25 first, Pat Frymuth. What side are you taking? Yeah, I'm happy with the Tyreek Hill side here. 111 in the 111. Let me just think that over. 10 team Superflex start 11. It's a pretty big starting lineup here. Ooh, this is an interesting trade. As much as I give Pat Frymuth like saying he should get a second chance, I'm just going to cancel him out of this deal. So the way I'm seeing this is Tyreek Hill, even that 25 third, it just cancels out. So you essentially sent the 111 and the 25 first, and you got Tyreek Hill. If that 25 first is late, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with Tyreek Hill side. I'm really interested to see what Keep Trade Cut says, because I feel like they would say that you lost that trade. Yeah. And let's look at Flock Fantasy's website there. This is 10 team. So you got send Hill a 25 first. Let's just do that mid to late, and the 111. Let's see what that says. Yeah, the community, according to the community on Keep Trade Cut, is Tyreek Hill side every single day. So I'll take and I agree, I'll be taking the Tyreek Hill side personally there. Okay, next one is one quarterback PPR start 9. Richardson, Cousins, Bryce, Gibbs, Taylor, Chain, Chase, Waddle, Nico, Jason, Neighbors, Downs, Laporta. So what's the question here? It says package 2 wide receivers for 25 first or a star. Which wide receivers are you willing to package? That's a bigger question. 2 wide receivers for. Oh, and there goes the timer. And I'll finish this question here. But once again, if you want your super chat answered or your questions answered, just drop a super chat. But this will be the last question for today. Then we go to the grading of the teams. 2 wide receivers for 25 first or a star. I'm a little bit confused with this question here. So you're saying 2 wide receivers for 25 first. So which 2 wide receivers? I wouldn't send either any one of these 2 wide receivers. I mean, unless it's JSN and Downs for 25 first. I think I might be interested in that. Or, I'm not sending Chase and Waddle. So I think this is a little bit hard to comprehend, at least the way my mind is thinking about it. I wouldn't want to send a 25 first away for any of these guys. I'm happy to pivot off like a T Higgins. I'm happy to because you have Chase and T. So if you want to trade T Higgins and get another wide receiver, I'm happy to do that as well. So sorry there, Wyatt. Meant to say gave up Hill. That's all right. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We'll be doing a lot more of these Q&As more often as getting to the off season, and we kind of reviewed a lot of these Dynasty teams. I kind of gonna want to do maybe like one or two a week going into the off season, since Zach is going to be out for the next couple of weeks here. So definitely stay tuned when it comes down to live Q&As. I definitely want to do more of this for sure. But we're going to be grading a Dynasty team here, and then we just send this guy a message making sure that he's here. Jabara. We're going to be grading his team. I don't know why this is not working here, but can we copy that? Reviewing your team now. It's not tagging him, which is weird. Maybe what I can do is send him a message on here. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go review this team here. Let's pull this up. Make sure I have all this set up. We appreciate you guys today. It's been awesome. All the support, all the love that you guys have been showing. We did release a video today, must own handcuffs, and we have a bunch of other cool videos coming out. We have running back rankings. We have taxi decisions as well. Must own taxis players, which is really fun. So stay tuned for that. And as I bring up his team here, I'm going to make sure you guys can see this. Okay. Once again, if you want your Dynasty team reviewed, all you have to do is join the Mother Flocker or sign up on Flock Fantasy website, join the Mother Flocker tier, and then that's exactly how you can get your Dynasty team reviewed. But we're going to do one team review today here. All right. 12 team Superflex, half PPR, half tight end premium as well. Start 9. So you can start up to 4 wide receivers. Some background information. It all started with drafting Lance at the 206 in our startup 2 years ago. I mean, I think everyone did that. I tell you that right now. Everyone was a massive Lance believer. It was just unfortunate what happened. However, this past year I started 3-0 and made a series of trades to go for it by acquiring Tyreek Hill, Ford, Purdy, Thielen, Schultz. When Thielen and Schultz were hot, then proceeded to lose 7 straight while being 4th in points for. So Tyreek, Thielen, Ford, Moss, and Schultz right before the playoffs to recover some value. Got the 107, 207, 225 first, and Mark Andrews. I think those are pretty good trades, considering Moss, Ford, and Thielen and Schultz really just value plummeted. I would say Ford was still up there, but Thielen wasn't looking too hot. Looking back on it, I went for it too early, and we'll learn from that in the future. Now I'm not sure what to do with the 107, 207, and then 25 first, especially because I don't have my first or my second next year. Although a lot of teams need help at quarterback, so could possibly use that to my advantage with the 107. I also have a gnarly hole at running back and need some depth for wide receivers. Lastly, our draft is scheduled May 24th. What do you suggest my next series of moves be? Appreciate you guys. Okay, we appreciate you. Got the sleeper ID here. And let me get this pulled up here on this side of the world here on Keep Trade Cut. Once again, guys, we're going to be transitioning to that Flock Fantasy website here soon. Once we get all, some things ironed out when it comes down to sending messages and making sure that when we say, hey, we're reviewing your team, you guys can actually see that, because that has been a little bit of an issue here. You getting that notification on our side. But we're here. Let me know if you hear Jabara, I think I'm saying that right. Get this team going here. and his team name is third time's a charm. Okay, let's have a look at this team. He hasn't done this draft yet, and he definitely made some decent moves here, being being second according to Keep Trade Cuts rankings. Feels like a pretty decently even league, kind of. I mean, shout out to number 47. Very interesting here. Okay, let's look at this team. Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Trey Lance. I mean, this is a phenomenal quarterback room, man. This is exactly what you want to see. Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. This is beautiful. You don't have to do anything at the quarterback position. You stick and pick here, especially in a league like this, or you stick with these quarterbacks. At the running back position, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Ty Chandler, Alexander Madison. Now, according to this, your weakest room is the running back room, even though you do have Bijan Robinson. Now, we could talk up Ty Chandler. We could talk up Alexander Madison. Alexander Madison is behind Zamir White in Vegas. Ty Chandler is behind Aaron Jones, still in Minnesota. So there is some opportunity for both of these guys, but maybe we can get a running back here with this draft capital. If I'm not mistaken, you could start up to 4 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers, and 1 flex spot. We love to prioritize wide receivers in the flex spot as well. So when you hear me say that, I mean, I say that pretty often. We say that pretty often all the time here on our channel. Let me just move that there. So Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf, Jaden Reed. Those are your starting 4 wide receivers with Rashid Shaheed, Darnell Mooney, Treylon Burks, and the list kind of goes on there. Another phenomenal wide receiver room here. Love all these 4 players that you can start immediately, especially with Jaden Reed, a good low-end, I'd say a low-end wide receiver 1 that could easily be, you know, a mid-tier wide receiver 1 coming into this year with Jordan Love. So you do have that stack, which is exciting. You have the Brandon Ayuk with Brock Purdy stack as well, which is very exciting. So there's opportunity for your team to be very, very successful here. Let me just zoom in here because I know it might be a little bit too small for people to see there. That's probably a little bit better. And then at the tight end position, Mark Andrews, Pat Frymuth. So I actually really like this team, and there's a lot of success that can easily come from here. And this is a start 12 team SuperFlex, half PPR, half tight end premium. So having Mark Andrews in this tight end premium in his start 9 in a smaller league is phenomenal. We need to go out and get you a running back here, which I think would be pretty. It actually could be done here in this league here. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. And you did say you had 225 first, which is great. Dilly, and Ethan. So let's look at where these guys are. Ethan, team 9, so he's a little bit down there. Team 11 for Dilly. John Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Tyreek Hill. So this guy can definitely compete, no question. And with a team like that, Dak, Trevor, Jonathan, Saquon, Hill, Waddle, Mike. This is a competing team, just not good for the future, I would say. Josh Allen, Will Levis, he has the 106. So a quarterback can definitely help him, this guy. Okay, so you might have 2 mid-firsts coming into this year, depending on what's going to happen with some of these guys. This guy's running back room is not the strongest. AJ Brown, Chris Ward, this wide receiver rooms aren't the strongest either. So Ethan is definitely a good possibility for you, him being a first round draft capital there. So that's exciting for 225 first. You have a 26. Okay. All right, well, let's do the first scenario here, which is always stick and pick, where we like to stick and pick here. All right, 107, that can really range from multiple different ways. That can be JJ McCarthy, that can be Odunze. That can even be, well, that's really it. JJ McCarthy and Rome Odunze here. In this scenario, it'll be ideal for you to go Rome Odunze. You know, if JJ McCarthy is still on the board, maybe what you can do is trade out and see what type of value. Maybe you can trade that pick away if if you really didn't want to acquire that quarterback and trade them away to a team that might be a little bit more of a quarterback needy team coming into this year. And at the 207, which I'm just trying to bring up my rankings here, this is a long list of players, and I'll be honest with you, this could be Polk. We've seen Leggett fall at the 107 at times. We've seen Blake Corm there. We've seen Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell, in that range. Mitchell, Blake, we can even say Franklin, Troy Franklin, Burton are all guys that can go there. At the 405, we always say take BPA. The 5 is really just a taxi guy, you know, guys that are going undrafted. So in reality, I look at this as you having only 2 picks in this draft. And one of the biggest biggest weakness on this team is the RB2. Right? Having Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and you have they have the 107, which is very interesting, by the way. I'm just thinking here, do we trade that 107 away? I see what people are saying. If Penix falls, does he take him at the 207? He definitely can. I've never seen Penix fall in our follower leagues. We've never seen Penix go there. But yes, Penix will be definitely a good value for sure. If he really wanted to take a Michael Penix at the 207, I don't see what the purpose is in this league. And I always say this, and this is where Zach and I disagree. If I'm a rebuild team, I'm happy to take Michael Penix as early from the 201 to the 204, 205. But if I'm a team like this, there's no point in me taking Michael Penix. Maybe this is the perfect scenario for you to trade out of that. Maybe somebody else wants Michael Penix. Maybe Michael Penix is still at the 207, and a team wants to go up and trade for him. Trade back, get some value. I'm happy to do that every single day. Some players that I personally would like to pivot off of, and I don't know if Zach, we just released his wide receiver rankings here. We did talk about DK Metcalf in that video. DK Metcalf is somebody I'm willing to pivot off of. I think the fantasy community loves DK Metcalf. 26 years old. I'm willing to pivot off of DK Metcalf to the following players. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. But just to give you ideas, right? Pivot ideas. Players that I believe in a little bit more I personally believe has a little bit more upside, and just resetting, right? Resetting that wide receiver market. DK Metcalf. So I love the idea of going to Nico Collins. Once again, you don't have to agree with any of these, but just ideas, right? Actually, I'm just gonna do this all in one. So Collins. I like the idea of pivoting to someone like a Zay Flowers. I would even say Tank Dell, and some of these players you can get players in return, right? You can get Tank Dell and something in return for DK Metcalf. I like the idea of Jordan Addison. Pivoting off of Jordan Addison, and keep in mind, DK Metcalf's wide receiver 20 in the community, Zay Flowers 21, Tank Dell 22, Addison 23. I would even do T. Higgins. These are some players I'm willing to pivot to off of DK Metcalf. Once again, I love their upside. I love their situation a little bit more. And look, you can even go even further. I see people saying Pickens. But for me, I personally like these guys, right? You can even send DK away to acquire somebody that you might have to pay for. So like, can I send DK? Now this is DK Metcalf plus, well, I don't want to do that 207. Look, this is just a starting point. This is just a starting point, but can you pivot up to a couple spots, right? In the community right now, people like Michael Pittman, He's wide receiver 17, DK wide receiver 20. Right? I mean, if you have to give a 25 third, how about that? Or 25 third. I'm willing to do that. I think sending a second for someone like DK in a second for Pittman feels a little bit rich for me. Let's see who else we can go. I think that's a perfect one. I think everyone else, it might have to go into the second. Like I think of Waddle, I think of Ayuk. I don't want Devonta Smith. Those are some moves I'm willing to make when it comes down to pivoting off of DK Metcalf. One of my other ideas was, what can I do for that 107? Should I be able to trade this 107 for a running back? Now, do you want to do that? You don't have to. Just giving you as many ideas as you can. The first player that came to mind is Saquon Barkley. But Saquon Barkley, for someone at the 107 like the Rome Odunze, just feels wrong. I want youth. I want to bring youth into that. So can I do 107 plus the 207? And then I can get a higher tier running back? Can I get someone like an Etienne? I wonder what the community thinks about that, actually, on Keep Trade Cut. And I'll even look in the Flock Fantasy website when it does come down to the trades. But maybe I'm not valuing some of these guys the way. Let me just change this setting. So it's a 12 team. It's a 12 team, half PPR. Half PPR, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Okay. And I basically just said someone like a Travis. Maybe Travis Etienne. I feel like we can go higher potentially than Travis Etienne. But Travis Etienne for the 107. Let's just see what that says. Okay, says you're robbing them in the community. So, and I'll bring this up here so you guys can see. So this is what the community thinks on Flock Fantasy website. I can get I send the 107, get Travis Etienne in that 25 second, and you're set at that running back position. Now once again, you can still get a Rome Odunze here. Once again, just give you as many options as possible. Let's see what Keep Trade Cut would say about that when it comes down to. So Travis Etienne plus the 107 and the 207. So you see in Keep Trade Cut, you're saying you're losing that trade. So it really just depends on how you view that, what you think there. I'm happy to potentially look to pivot to get a running back. Now, once again, I just feel like that 107 is really valuable because that could be a quarterback, that could be a wide receiver. So I'm even looking higher at like a Jonathan Taylor, but I just feel like no one would trade away Jonathan Taylor for that 107. And maybe let's look at this Jonathan Taylor owner. I even thought about Devon, but I'm a little bit more hesitant on Devon. James Cook. I mean, did I miss Jonathan Taylor here? There goes Jonathan Taylor with Saquon Barkley. Has Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill. Okay. Look, this is a pathway. I do have another pathway though, which could be exciting. Which I just thought of. What can that 207 get you? What is that 207? Who else do we have on our team? I think we can utilize an asset here. I don't want to trade away these quarterbacks, these running backs. I don't want to trade away. Okay. Well, my first thought process is, what does that 207 get you in a veteran running back? vet RB. Now, I doubt someone like a Derrick Henry, a Joe Mixon is going to be in play for the 207. But I was thinking maybe you can get someone like a Brian Robinson, David Montgomery, but still all those guys are just they're all cost a high first. Not having a third here is really bothering me. I really wish you had that third so we can be utilizing some more things, some more pieces here. But what you can do is do 20 the 207 plus a 25 third. I mean, even like a 25 second. Like, let's be honest. 207 plus Derrick Henry. I mean, I like that. I like that for Joe Mixon. I also like that for David Montgomery, who I really like as well coming into this year. I don't want Javonte Williams. David Montgomery, I think, feels pretty comfortable there, and that really just takes care of that RB2 situation for you. You know, I've seen people. I've even traded away Ramondre Stevenson, so like a 25 third. I've traded Ramondre Stevenson for a 24 third. Or sorry, I received a 2023 third. 2024 third, excuse me, from Ramondre Stevenson. So can you trade a 25 third? And I got a second in there as well. It was pretty phenomenal trade, I think. For Ramondre Stevenson. I'm blanking how to spell his name. Ramondre Stevenson. I'm super blanking on how to spell his name. I think that's how you spell his name. Let me just. Ramondre. There you go. Because I sent the 20. I received the 25 second and the 25 third. A 24 second. Sorry, a 25 second and a 24 third for Ramondre Stevenson. So I think a 25 third is pretty valuable here in this scenario. Or trading away to give Ramondre Stevenson, and then you can just see how you ride this wave going into 2025 or going into this year when it does come down to this team. And that is still get Rome Odunze hypothetically, and then you can still use your future draft capital to acquire a running back. Now, let me just double check if you do have a 20. Doesn't look like you have a 25 second here, which I did all that, and you don't have a 25 second. But I mean, that could be 26 second if you really wanted to. Keep in mind, this can be 25 or 26. And that can be the same for this. Or 26. Or 26. Okay. So I think this is the way to go. Ideally, you want Rome Odunze, and then if you don't trade that 207 away, you want Blake Corum. That's the ideal picture there, because now you have Rome Odunze and you have Blake Corum, who we are, I would say, higher than the community in consensus when it does come down to having Blake Corum, because of the opportunity that we see Sean McVay having. You know, Zach brought out a whole video about brought a take about Sean McVay, and every single year that he's had a running back, he's had a new top running back, and the utilization has switched almost every single year. Now, Kyren Williams may be the outlier because of how successful he was this past year and how he was one of the main focal points of this offense. But having a day 2 draft capital for Blake Corum, and having, you know, Kyren Williams, who was a 5th round or 6th round running back, the hit rates on the running back is pretty significant here. So I would say getting one of these guys. And if it's not Corum, like Lloyd like let's say Corn was reached on, right? Lloyd and Wright is pretty significant here as well. Like trading back, you know, Wright in on our rookie drafts, it's been going on like the comp pick, the 213. So if you can trade back to like the 211 and Jaden Wright's there or Marshawn Lloyd, I would be really happy to hopefully try and acquire either one of these three players, which is pretty exciting. At the 405, I'll even put a name to that. I thought of Aldrick Estime. I got Aldrick Estime in the early fourth yesterday. I think it's a sneaky value. I would even say Tyrone Tracy is also a sneaky value there. Aldrick Estime, Tyrone Tracy are really good guys that you can get in the fourth round. Let me just double check who are some other running backs that went yesterday in our league here in our dynasty drafts. But yeah, like also estimate Tyrone Tracy, I think are two guys. Tyrone Tracy fell at the 4-3. Braylon Allen went at the 405. So you can do Allen as well. So these are some guys that you can definitely go out and try to acquire when it does come down to that 405 position. But other than that, man, I think this is probably the best way to go here if you want to do something along these lines. But we appreciate you. It doesn't look like you're in the chat here with us. Let me know if you are in the chat, and if not, that's okay. Use the fantasy hotline, so we can definitely help you out when it does come down to any of these questions or concerns that you have on your team. But yeah, guys, if you want to have what you're seeing currently right now, your dynasty team reviewed by myself and Zach, all you have to do is sign up at flockfantasy.com. Use that promo code LAND. Right, select the mother flocker tier, make sure you link your account, and then all you have to do is send a message in the Discord where you can get your team reviewed. And we do this every single week. All you have to do, once again, scan that QR code, use our promo code LAND, get 30% off, and not only do you get this unlocked as well that you just saw with that Dynasty team review, but you get everything else that's on your screen, the rookie report, a trade calculator, a personal DM, which is called the fantasy hotline, to Zach and myself. So hopefully that helps. I think that should be pretty good for today, guys. I think we're Gucci. I see a lot of guys having a lot of conversations in the chat, and I appreciate you guys. You guys have been awesome. Just want to pull up, making sure there's nothing that I've missed in here in this chat. But I appreciate you guys. All right, looks like you guys are pretty chill. We'll be live on Sunday night, your guys' time. And then next week, Monday night, we do have another real Dynasty rookie draft with the Hotel League, which is really exciting. I'm excited for that league. That's in 3 days. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm pretty sure. But you guys will see that live stream set. But thank you so much. We appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, it's all love, y'all. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend.